Tonight, a return to a state of emergency.
We want to really underscore just how serious this wildfire season is.
What led the Premier to once again make the declaration, and what does it mean for Manitobans? Also tonight, back to the drawing board.
The province is listening, and we're happy for that.
What happens next after the province nixed a controversial plan to replace a deadly intersection near Carberry? Plus,
holy crap, this is cheap.
where you can find some bargain fuel prices, but will the savings last?
At 12:01 p.m. today, we declared a provincial state of emergency due to the wildfire situation in northern Manitoba, as well as a couple of large communities going to mandatory evacuation over the past 24 hours.
More northern communities are getting their people out. Military transport planes and water bombers are in the air, and Manitoba is once again under a state of emergency. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Hendricks. Mayor Lee is away. For the second time since late May, Manitoba has declared a province-wide state of emergency. Renewed wildfires are forcing thousands of people to flee, some for the second time in weeks. CTV's Devin McKendrick has the latest and what the order means for Manitobans.
At 12:01 p.m. today, we declared a provincial state of emergency.
For the second time this wildfire season, the Manitoba government has declared a state of emergency. This as two communities announced mandatory evacuations due to fires burning nearby.
The primary reason that we have called this latest state of emergency is because we need access to more facilities to be able to shelter this large number of Manitobans who are being forced to flee their homes due to wildfires.
Snow Lake declared a local state of emergency Wednesday night, saying all non-essential personnel needed to be out of the community by noon on Thursday. Then Garden Hill First Nation issued an evacuation notice. The Canadian Armed Forces was called in, and roughly 1,000 people were evacuated using Hercules planes. Another 3,000 are set to fly out commercially. Including the roughly 6,000 people who were evacuated Thursday, there are around 12,600 people who have been displaced. Evacuees coming to Winnipeg will be able to stay at congregate shelters set up at the Lila Soccer Centre, Billy Mosienko Arena, and shortly, Canoe says the RBC Convention Centre will be ready to house people as well. An event is scheduled there for this weekend, but the Premier says the province will work around it.
We are looking to scale up very quickly and doing our best to accommodate a balancing act between those activities and the very emergent needs of wildfire evacuees and northern communities across Manitoba.
This has been the worst wildfire season in the last 30 years, according to officials. As of July 8th, over 1 million hectares of land has burned, which is 11 times higher than the 20-year average of 94,000 hectares. The second worst season was in 2013, when around 720,000 hectares burned. Canoe is once again calling on all Manitobans to step up and help people in this time of need.
I really want to encourage us to work together the way that we did earlier in this wildfire season. This is a wildfire season that's setting records in all the wrong ways, but Manitobans are responding in all the right ones.
Devin McKendrick, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Now, despite the state of emergency declaration, officials say fire and travel restrictions are not changing at this time.
Most of these fires are lightning caused, and the others are arson or suspected arson, so a fire ban probably wouldn't have an impact.
At the moment, there are no provincial fire or travel restrictions in effect. However, travel permits are still required inside the boundaries of an active fire, and individual municipalities may have their own restrictions in place. The number of active fires in the province has climbed to 105, 7 more than Wednesday. And the Premier was asked to respond to complaints from some U.S. lawmakers that Canada isn't doing enough to curb wildfire smoke, which is drifting south and ruining the American summer. Have a listen.
Well, I've shaken the hands of American firefighters in northern Manitoba who are helping us out, and I would challenge these ambulance chasers in the U.S. Congress to go and do the same, and to hear how much the American firefighting heroes who are here, how much they loved our province.
The Premier went on to criticize the lawmakers for comments that he said trivialized a crisis in which people had died and lost their homes. In their letter to the Canadian ambassador, the representatives from Wisconsin and Minnesota suggested Canada make better use of technology and employ better forest management practices. Premier Wab Kinew says an overpass will be in the mix of potential upgrades at Highways 1 and 5, the site of that bus crash that killed 17 people near Carberry in 2023. Kinew says an overpass and other alternatives will be explored as a plan to make safety changes heads back to the drawing board. This after the Premier announced Wednesday that his government will not follow through with the recommended R-cut option. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, why no R-cut for that intersection?
Because of the backlash against the R-cut design, Carberry residents say they don't want it, they want an overpass. These crosses honor the 17 people who died after a bus crash outside Carberry 2 years ago. Now a controversial proposal to make the accident site safer is not moving forward.
I was happy and relieved about that.
Premier Wab Kinew says no R-cut will be built at Highways 1 and 5. Instead, the province will look at other alternatives following a mountain of pressure to scrap the plan.
It clearly didn't have the support of the community, so we got to listen to the people who are going to be the most frequent users of it.
I'm impressed. I think he made a very good decision.
The R-cut configuration does not allow vehicles to cross the highway directly, but instead, drivers turn onto the highway and then use a U-turn lane down the road. Last month, provincial officials presented that as the preferred option at a meeting in Carberry.
Is anyone here from the community actually for the R-cut? No.
But armed with a petition of 2,100 signatures, area residents overwhelmingly opposed the design over concerns it would confuse drivers and be tight for large trucks.
I know you're saying it's safer. Right. None of them will agree that that's safer.
The province promised safety upgrades here following the tragedy. Tom Barron lives near the intersection. He wants an overpass constructed, also known as an interchange.
Everybody else in the community does as well.
Carberry Mayor Ray Muirhead says it's overpass or bust.
Putting an overpass in is not reinventing the wheel. They've got them everywhere in Winnipeg. They've got them all over the place. It shouldn't be that terribly difficult of a design.
The Premier says that will be considered.
Yeah, an interchange is going to be part of the mix of what we look at because we want to look at safety, but also something that has the public confidence.
Provincial officials have said an overpass would cost more than $100 million, more than 5 times the cost of an R-cut, and traffic volumes at the intersection do not warrant one yet.
So Jeff, when could we see a new design and shovels in the ground?
It's unclear. While the Premier says he doesn't want to linger on this, he says they do have to regroup and come up with a new design and new budget. He stresses they have to get this right because of the scale of the tragedy and the passion within the community.
All right, thanks, Jeff. The city and some community groups are hoping to make it a little easier for drivers as Winnipeg retires its parking pay stations. The city is offering prepaid parking booklets with 10 one-hour passes that you can display on your dash. Now, those are available at the parking store on Portage Avenue and transit customer service centers. You can also call 311 to order one. Additionally, ambassadors from various biz groups are going to be on the street helping people out.
Part of it is by giving people more information and letting them know where they can purchase tickets and the different ways that they can purchase parking, whether that's through the app, through a 1-800 number, or at different sites that are selling the parking booklets. Giving them that information and allowing them to make the decision that's going to work best for them to pay for parking now and in the future.
The pay stations started coming down in earnest Tuesday and are expected to be completely gone by the end of August. The primary way to pay for parking going forward will be by registering for the Pay by Phone app. CTV's Daniel Halmerson joins us now with your first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. And Danny, I know you've been following some pretty severe weather. What's the latest on that?
Well, the warnings have ended for places like Gimli and Souris, but check out this video. This was sent in by Kristen out in Gimli just last hour. You can see that hail coming down pretty hard there. They actually had 2 separate warnings over the afternoon, and so we'll be keeping an eye on this weather over the course of the evening. Now, despite the warning being over, a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for most of southern Manitoba today. You can see basically from the Souris area all the way through to the Ontario border, that warning's in effect. Of course, we saw those daytime highs in the 30s, very, very humid day. And the purple on the screen, we do still have some air quality statements in effect. That is, of course, due to the wildfire up north as well as in eastern parts of the province. But right now, taking a look outside here in Winnipeg, checking out the river there, you can see the camera shaking just a little bit. 30 degrees, it's actually picked up over the last little bit. Feeling more like 37. The wind out of the southwest at 17 kilometers per hour. The pressure's rising and the humidity, John, sitting at 55%.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
An inmate has died at Stony Mountain Institution. The Correctional Service of Canada says Tyson Harding died at the prison yesterday of apparent natural causes. The 44-year-old inmate had been incarcerated since January of 2023 and was serving a 9.5-year sentence. CSC says the inmate's next of kin has been notified. Manitoba's police watchdog is investigating after an officer shot and killed a dog in western Manitoba. It happened yesterday morning in Swan Lake First Nation. The Independent Investigation Unit says a First Nations Police Service officer went to a residence to make an arrest. Now, while at the house, a dog bit the officer. The IIU says the officer left only to return a short time later when he shot and killed the dog. The IIU is asking anyone who saw the incident or may have video footage to contact them. A housing co-op in Brandon is getting $500,000 from the province to help pay for repairs and maintenance. The Spruce Woods Housing Co-op Board is still deciding where to use the money, but its manager says 28 of its 81 units need to be refurbished, and work is needed on the parking lot and on energy efficiency.
It's hard work to not only maintain aging buildings, but to keep up with the ever-increasing costs of repairs, water bills, etc. But for us, it's harder.
The housing co-op also received over $14,000 a month to support operations through the province's nonprofit housing funding model. It'll celebrate 40 years in operation this September. The province is renewing its contract with STARS for emergency patient air transport in Manitoba.
With skilled pilots, paramedics, nurses, and physicians who are ready to quite literally drop into any situation, stabilize their patients, and get them to the right care as quickly as possible.
Under the contract, the STARS, which stands for Shock Trauma Air Rescue Service, will continue to provide 24/7, 365-day-a-year emergency transport for the most critically ill or injured people in the province. People like Willem van Lankveld, who was struck by a truck while riding a bike in 2021, resulting in multiple serious injuries.
My quality of life is very similar to what it was before my accident. I still get to have an active and engaging role as a father and a husband and a friend. And that means the world to me. And the fact that that is going to be an opportunity that all Manitobans have because of this contract makes me immensely grateful. Thank you.
The service will also provide inter-facility transport for patients requiring specialized care. STARS first signed on with the province in 2012. In the 2024-25 fiscal year, STARS flew just over 1,200 missions in Manitoba. Well, if you spent any time driving in the south end of Winnipeg lately, you may have noticed some enticing prices at the gas pumps. CTV News spotted a handful of gas stations along Kenniston and McGillivray Boulevards, as well as Grant Avenue, with prices floating around $1 a liter, or even below $1. And it looks like drivers have taken notice, forming long lineups at some locations or filling multiple jerry cans. And it's not just happening in our city, but across the prairies. As CTV's Kathy Lee reports, the price war and the wildly fluctuating prices may be short-lived.
That number is not a hoax, a jackpot for drivers who hit the pump at the right time.
Holy crap, this is cheap.
Several gas stations in Calgary dropping their prices to just over $1 a litre. This location turning into a parking lot. Drivers bumper to bumper, a slow motion parade of bargain hunters.
I drive for Uber, so I'm trying to get cheapest gas as possible.
Some of the drivers here say this is the lowest price in gas they've seen since before COVID.
I've never seen gas this cheap since I had my license.
How long has that been?
6 years.
The deep discounts not just in Calgary.
Also in Winnipeg, seeing a couple stations below $1 a litre.
A stark contrast to other parts of the country. Some places in BC, Quebec, and Atlantic provinces, gas is more than $1.40 per litre. In Alberta, the massive markdown leading to a price war. Experts say the reasons driving down the cost varies.
Aggressive retailers, the volatility in the market, different strategies, all culminating in a big swing between what stations are charging.
But not every gas station is joining in.
I just saw the signs, so it was 103 here, 133 down the street.
They are not making much of a margin. That is really not a sustainable operation. That's why there's a lot of stations that are not going to match that.
Which means a wildly fluctuating prices temporary. Still,
this is very nice to see again.
Drivers are grateful for the reprieve.
Considering all the cost of living has gone up.
Even if it may be short-lived. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A slowdown at the border. What new numbers reveal about Manitobans' trips to the United States last month. Taking a look at the markets, crude oil lost $1.81. The loonie closed higher. Gold futures added $4.70. The TSX gained 110 points. The Dow Jones jumped 192 points, and the Nasdaq was up 19. New data from Statistics Canada shows the number of people coming into Canada in June was down more than 14% year over year. Here in Manitoba, the numbers are even more striking. About 41,000 Canadians came back to Manitoba from the States in an automobile this past June. Now that is a roughly 35% drop from the same month in 2024. And it isn't just Canadians avoiding trips to the U.S. There are fewer Americans visiting Canada this past June, where there were 31,600 U.S. resident trips into Manitoba by automobile. That's a drop of 7.5% from the same month in 2024. Another challenge ahead, government employees are bracing for layoffs as the Prime Minister looks to cut back on overall spending. Cabinet ministers have been asked to find a 7.5% savings for the next fiscal year. As CTV's Abigail Bimman shows you, it has some concern that the cuts are doable, but not without consequence.
I have a simple rule: spend less, invest more.
A new promotional video from the Prime Minister addressing what everyone in Ottawa is talking about, the call for big savings.
I will balance our operational budget in 3 years. We'll spend what we need to with the money we already have.
But neither Mark Carney nor his ministers are talking specifics about potential chopping block targets, with a new goal to save $25 billion annually within the next 3 years.
I'm pretty thorough, and I do my homework, and I'm going to do that before I have this type of conversation.
That $25 billion is a very large number.
The president of the Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada wants to know more, worried about the possibility of cuts to jobs in Canada's meteorological service, warning of serious weather, for example, or food inspectors warning about food safety.
I'm really concerned that, it's not going to be just looking to find people through attrition. It's really going to cut deeply, and I think it really truly will affect service to Canadians.
So net, the actual number of public servants might actually stay the same.
Sahir Khan of the Institute of Fiscal Studies and Democracy does not expect immediate mass layoffs or impacts to services. He says it's more about reallocation to the new government's new priorities.
You're going to see public servants kind of have to go where the money is. So if your area is kind of getting de-emphasized in defense, RCMP, other areas, CBSA are getting emphasized, the money and the jobs are going to go there.
The call to Cabinet to find savings only went out this week with an end of summer deadline. We'll have to wait until the fall budget to get some serious specifics. And even then, this budget may not tell the full story. It's likely to be a multi-year exercise. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says Canada will fight back against Donald Trump's 50% tariffs on copper. The U.S. president is threatening to impose the hit on August 1st. It comes with 11 days left until the deadline to come up with a Canada-U.S. trade deal. CTV's senior political correspondent Mike Lee-Couture on where negotiations stand today.
The Canadian government is digging in on its vow to push back after the U.S. president announced the date for those copper tariffs late yesterday.
We'll fight against it, period.
A defiant declaration from Canada's industry minister talking about the threat of 50% tariffs on Canadian copper. While meeting the Vancouver Board of Trade, Melanie Joly said protecting jobs remains the government's focus in this trade war.
We denounce these illegal tariffs, and we think that they're a direct attack against our workers and now on in the copper industry, and so we'll fight against them.
While the fight continues on one front, negotiations also continue with the U.S. Today, the Foreign Affairs Minister said she believes a deal can get done before Canada's self-imposed deadline of July 21st.
This is an effort that we are putting all our weight behind. I will say that we are still hopeful that an agreement can be achieved indeed.
But what kind of agreement remains an open question for some trade experts.
We're talking about a full-bore renegotiation of the trade agreement, then I don't think anyone thinks that that can be done in the next 11 days.
It is a hugely asymmetrical relationship.
Deanna Horton should know. She helped negotiate the first North American free trade agreement, and she believes Canada needs to buy some time to expand other trading partnerships.
For every effort that is being made on trade diversification is something that will have to be implemented as quickly as possible, but these things all take time.
It's part of why Minister Anand is in Malaysia right now, pushing to get a free trade deal with a bloc of 10 Southeast Asian nations. Mike Lee-Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A woman has been named to head the Royal Canadian Air Force. It's a first in this country. Lieutenant General Jamie Spicer Blanchette becomes the 22nd commander of the RCAF. She's a native of Chicoutimi and served as a helicopter pilot. She was most recently deputy commander of the Air Force. Spicer Blanchette was also deployed to UN and NATO peacekeeping tours in Haiti and Bosnia. She replaces Lieutenant General Eric Kenny, who's retiring after 35 years with the Air Force. Alberta is moving ahead with new rules that could see certain books removed from the shelves at school libraries. The province says it's specifically targeting sexually explicit material.
This policy gives clear direction for school boards, teachers, and school staff, and provides greater assurances to parents about the kinds of material available to children in school libraries.
Alberta's government says this review came after it was made aware of 4 different coming-of-age graphic novels in school libraries in Edmonton and Calgary. Critics have questioned whether the province is targeting books with LGBTQ2S+ related content. The education minister says the effort was never about erasing particular narratives from school libraries. The death toll from flash flooding in central Texas is now confirmed at 120, and that number is expected to keep rising. More than 160 people are still missing, including 5 girls and a counselor from a summer camp along the Guadalupe River. Search teams continue their work around the clock, sifting through the wreckage. The property is destroyed. Cabins have been leveled and the office is missing. During a briefing this morning, officials acknowledged an influx of volunteers offering to help out with the search.
It's important that we have certified professional search teams out there right now. We have compiled a database of volunteers who have made themselves available, and if and when that time comes that we are able to call upon them, we will be calling upon them.
The disaster marks the deadliest inland flooding in the U.S. since 1976. At least 34 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier were killed in Gaza today as hope for an immediate ceasefire fades once again. At least 16 people, including a number of children, were killed at a medical clinic. Now, that's according to a U.S. aid organization, which says the victims were waiting for nutritional supplements. The Israeli military says it was targeting a Hamas militant who took part in the October 7th attacks and regrets any harm to civilians. The original Birkin bag, owned by British actor and singer Jane Birkin, has sold at auction for a record price. It sold for $8.2 million, making it the most expensive handbag to ever sell at auction. The black leather Birkin was auctioned off at Sotheby's in Paris. It was designed by Hermes after she told the fashion house she needed a practical bag for daily life. She sold her original Birkin in 1994 to raise money for AIDS research, and it has changed hands privately several times. Birkin died in 2023 at the age of 76.
I'm waiting on a radio, so it doesn't currently have a radio. But yeah, it's got air conditioning that works.
A blast from the past. How much effort it took to bring this vintage police cruiser back to life.
And the sun returns for the weekend before more rain to start the next work week. I'll have your complete Skywatch forecast coming up.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Manual windows and chrome bumpers, features that most vintage cars are expected to have. But in the city of Winkler, you might be able to see something unexpected on at least one vintage car: emergency lights. CTV's Harrison Shin has more on the Chief Mobile.
You won't see this police cruiser in the rearview mirror if you are pulled over in Winkler.
It's a 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. It's my own personal vehicle that I've owned since 2006.
Because for Winkler Police Chief Ryan Hunt, it's been a personal labor of love. What makes it special? Hunt's custom design.
I just thought it'd be cool to add a police logo onto it. That's kind of similar to our old Winkler police logo. We tried to make it look as similar as possible, and then to add the emergency light on the roof.
And it wasn't easy.
I did a frame-off restoration on it, so the frame came off, got powder-coated and painted. The underside's all painted, new interior. Every nut and bolt's been cleaned up, and it's basically a new car now.
It's still missing some pieces, but Hunt is happy to wait.
I'm waiting on a radio, so it doesn't currently have a radio. But yeah, it's got air conditioning that works.
The vehicle is certainly gathering attention of the public.
Lots of positive responses, and when it's parked out here in front of the police service, there's people walking by and they take pictures of it.
Hunt wants to drive this vehicle for Saturday's parade.
This coming Saturday, there's a parade going through Winkler. It's called the Tractor Trek Parade, and it's a fundraiser for Eden Mental Health Center in our community.
He's hoping the car is more than just transportation.
It's just a way to, another small way to, connect with the community.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winkler.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV's Daniel Halmerson is here now with your complete Skywatch weather forecast. And Danny, I know that you've been following some pretty severe storms, including with hail.
Yeah, well, it looks like they've stopped for now, John, but we could see some more storms in Manitoba tonight. The one we were talking about earlier was around Gimli, fired off around 4:30 and again shortly after 5. Now that's moved off into Ontario. We also saw a couple storms down in the Souris area just south of Brandon as well. Now while the warnings have ended, severe thunderstorm watches remain in effect for pretty much all of southern Manitoba tonight. Now, plenty of other weather alerts on there as well. The air quality warnings, that's the purple, remain for areas like Thompson, Flin Flon, and to the east out near Little Grand Rapids. Tonight, though, we could see some storms developing here in Winnipeg and over much of southern Manitoba moving into Thursday night. Now, there's folks sleeping out at Birds Hill Park, of course, for Winnipeg Folk Fest. concert at the stadium tonight, so lots happening. Hopefully the rain does hold off for those folks. Now heading into Friday morning, going to see much of the same over the next 24, 36 hours of some scattered showers. So the risk of thunderstorms as well remains. As we head into Saturday, hopefully clearing up, heading into the thick of the weekend there with some sunshine in the forecast. But for tonight here in Winnipeg, 17 degrees, risk of some thunderstorms. The wind out of the north at 15 kilometers per hour. When you wake up tomorrow morning, 18 around 8 o'clock. Mix of sun and cloud, wind still out of the north there in the afternoon. There is that risk of thunderstorms, as I mentioned, some chances, some showers, and those winds picking up out of the northwest, gusting up to 40. Taking a look around the province tonight, up north, 24 tomorrow in Churchill, under some sunny skies. Thompson and Island Lake expected to see a lot of widespread smoke still. In the northwest, I'm going to move over to this side. 15 in Flin Flon tonight, 25 tomorrow under cloudy and maybe smoky skies. Some sunshine up in Lynn Lake. In West Manitoba tonight, the risk of some thunderstorms, 15 in Brandon all the way up into Dauphin. Tomorrow, high of 19, the risk of thunderstorms as well. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here. And much of the same in the capital region, 17, 18 overnight before more thunderstorms or the risk of tomorrow. And similar story over the border in Ontario. Chance of thunderstorms tonight and more of the same as we head closer to the weekend. Our first Skywatch watch pick of the day comes from Cheyenne. This was taken as she descended into Winnipeg from Calgary last night. Cool perspective of our city. And our second one, that's Jake and Jet enjoying the water out at Albert Beach. And I think mid-afternoon we could have all used a dip. Keep those photos coming. Send them to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Danny. Swan River RCMP are investigating a homicide. Just after midnight last night, Swan River RCMP responded to a report of an injured man in Sapataway Cree Nation. They found a 57-year-old with critical injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene. A 20-year-old man was arrested at a nearby home not long after. Police say the two knew each other. The investigation continues. A New Hampshire man is facing uncertainty after he tried to return home for New Brunswick but was blocked at the border. He's lived in the States for over 40 years and goes back and forth at least once a year without an issue, at least until now. He spoke with Michael Rosenfeld of NBC News.
I'm a legal resident green card holder. I have been since 1981.
Chris Landry has lived in New Hampshire since he was 3 years old. He has a partner, 5 children, and a job in manufacturing. He was stopped at the border in Holton, Maine on Sunday while returning from a family vacation to Canada.
They pulled me aside and started questioning me about my past convictions in New Hampshire.
3 hours later, the 46-year-old was told he couldn't come home despite having a green card and being a legal U.S. resident. He spoke to us from New Brunswick, Canada.
They denied me re-entry and said, don't come back or we will detain you. And the only way for me to get back in was to see an immigration judge.
In 2004 and 2007, Landry faced charges of marijuana possession and driving with a suspended license, but says he's had no criminal record since. He was given a suspended sentence and paid his fines.
So I never thought that would threaten my status as a resident of the United States.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection telling us in a statement, possessing a green card is a privilege, not a right. And under our nation's laws, our government has the authority to revoke a green card if our laws are broken and abused. Lawful permanent residents presenting at a U.S. port of entry with previous criminal convictions may be subject to mandatory detention and/or may be asked to provide additional documentation to be set up for an immigration hearing.
Just very uncertain for me right now. I might end up spending the rest of my life in Canada, and who knows if I'll ever even have the right to re-enter the United States at this point.
Landry, who lives in Peterborough, New Hampshire, was with 3 of his children when he was stopped at the border. The children will make their way home in the days ahead. Landry says he goes to Canada at least once a year and has never had a problem until now. Why do you think this time it's a problem?
Because of the new administration and their new policies.
As a Canadian citizen, he couldn't vote for president, but he did support Donald Trump.
I was definitely, all for Make America Great Again and having a strong, unified country and a bright future for my 5 American children. But now I feel a little differently.
I'll take one glass.
Ice cold glass. A lemonade stand for hope. How some Winnipeg kids are using the drink to help people living with cancer.
Get Winnipeg's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
On a hot summer day, a cold glass of lemonade can really quench your thirst. And depending on where you buy it, it can also help people living with cancer. Each summer, the Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation runs a fundraising drive called Lemonade Stands for Hope. It's a way for young people to make a difference in the fight against cancer.
I'll take one glass, please.
On a hot summer night, it's easy to drum up customers for a nice cold glass of lemonade.
This is great, guys. Thanks.
Noah and his group of friends are hoping lots of people will become customers at their lemonade stand and help them raise a lot of money. Not to buy a new video game or bike, all the proceeds from the sales of these drinks are being given to the Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation.
Because Noah's dad had cancer, but we're not just doing it for his dad, we're also doing it for other people with cancer.
They aren't alone. The foundation has a program every summer called Lemonade Stands for Hope. It's a way to let young people get involved in the fight against cancer.
The nice thing about this is that when people hold their own fundraisers, they connect with their loved ones, their community. So it really helps spread the word and create awareness.
Awareness about cancer in general and about how it can impact people they know, as it's doing in this situation.
It was a really nice opportunity to be able to have the boys learn and talk and understand that there are lots of ways that they can help and support a friend or family member.
As a child, when someone does get cancer, you can feel very helpless, and I think the lemonade stand gave them a way to help.
Help and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Okay, no, hot tomato.
There's going to be lemonade stands popping up all over throughout the summer. And Cancer Care Foundation's primary weekend, though, July 18th to the 20th. You can go to Lemonade for Hope and check out a map to find a lemonade stand near you.
More Tomorrows Together is brought to you by Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation.
Doctors in at least one province are raising concerns about the use of AI and the lack of access to primary care. They say it's feeding a rising trend of people trying to diagnose or treat themselves online. The Ontario Medical Association noted misinformation that they frequently see online. Some risks include trying remedies posted on social media that are unsafe, delaying seeking legitimate medical treatment, and being financially exploited by paying for things that don't work. The OMA added that using AI to self-diagnose or for do-it-yourself treatments could be dangerous.
It is not without consequence. You can have people who delay their diagnosis because they're trying something that's not credible and then present when they're much sicker and perhaps have less options now to care for them. So there are consequences, and we want there to be more resources and people to have access to physicians to be able to get the actual credible information from someone they can trust.
Regardless of location, the doctors all urge people to ask a healthcare provider about what they see online, but to acknowledge that it can be difficult to do with a shortage of family physicians. Other ways to access credible health knowledge includes going to a walk-in clinic or checking the websites of established medical institutions and associations.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Coster Denture Clinic.
He just asked, he goes, hey, you want to sit down?
A chance meeting with Hollywood royalty. What happened when a Winnipegger ran into John Travolta?
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Night Ranger.
You never know who you might run into when you're out and about in the city. Could be an old friend, a city councillor, or Hollywood royalty like John Travolta. That's a picture of the actor with Kevin Kipling. Kipling was at the Fort Garry Hotel for a business meeting and sat down in the lounge. He looked up and saw someone who looked familiar, and it turned out to be someone very familiar to anyone who has seen Pulp Fiction, Saturday Night Fever, or Grease. That's right, John Travolta. So Kipling says he went over and started talking to him.
He just asked, he goes, "Hey, you want to sit down?" And I said, "Can I get a picture with you?" I said, I don't want to bug you. I said, "You probably get bugged all the time." And he just, he says, "Yeah." He asked me my name, what I did for a living, and stuff like that. A very genuine human being.
John Travolta is in town shooting November 1963. It's a movie about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Winnipeg is standing in for Chicago and Dallas. For the art lovers, a very special event is happening out at Riding Mountain National Park this weekend. Wasabing Community Arts is celebrating its 55th anniversary with an exhibit featuring pieces from its founders, Edith Holden and Joyce Smedegard. The pieces were donated for the summer by family members and private collectors. And on Saturday, the gallery is hosting a special reception to honor their legacy, with family members invited to speak about their passion for art.
They studied art in Europe, and everywhere they lived, they created art institutions or organizations to teach art and promote art. They first met in Portage la Prairie, and then Edith moved here to Clear Lake to start several family businesses, and soon started the Wasabing Community Arts Center.
The tribute exhibition runs until September, but there are plenty of other events and workshops happening at the center. Head to wasabingcommunityarts.com to find out more. Now, Sir Paul McCartney has set his first North American tour since 2022, and so far there are 3 Canadian shows to look forward to. The legendary singer-songwriter added a stretch of new dates to his Got Back World Tour. McCartney will be in Montreal for back-to-back shows November 17th and 18th. Then he'll move on to Hamilton, Ontario, November 21st. General sale tickets are available July 18th. And another family film franchise from the 2000s is reportedly getting a reboot.
And the most important thing of all to remember, don't let anything in or out.
Deadline reports development is underway at 20th Century Studios for a reboot of Night at the Museum. It's expected to feature all new characters after Ben Stiller led the 3 originals between 2006 and 2014. The story is based on a 1993 children's book about a night watchman at a museum where the exhibits come to life after dark. There's no word on a release date. And your primetime lineup kicks off at 7 with Transplant, followed by Good Cop, Bad Cop at 8, all happening tonight on CTV.
If I was having a rough day or whatever, just go for a run.
How many days in a row this teacher is hoping to run 50 kilometers and why she's doing it.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Taking a look outside right now, 30 degrees under partly cloudy skies, risk of thunderstorms tonight. Wind out of the southwest at 17 kilometers per hour, feeling more like 37. We did hit that 30 high a few times over the last few hours, just above last year's high of 29.1. Now taking a look over the next 7 days, a little bit of everything. Risk of thunderstorms again tomorrow before the sun returns for the weekend, but to start your next work week, chance of showers Monday and showers likely on Tuesday.
Thanks, Danny. A Portage la Prairie teacher is lacing up her sneakers and running across Manitoba to raise awareness about mental health and suicide prevention.
If I was having a rough day or whatever, just go for a run.
Diane Wing started running in 2014 following the suicide death of her husband, and she hasn't stopped. Yesterday, she began a fundraising run for the Canadian Mental Health Association to mark her 50th birthday. Wing will be running 50 kilometers a day for 10 days. She wants people to know they're not alone.
If you need help, please try and find help, because your loved ones really need you. And it's okay to not be okay, but ask for help if you need it.
Wing says the response so far has been overwhelming, with people reaching out or catching her on the run and saying hi. She's hoping to raise $10,000 for the CMHA. Now, you can find a link to support her run on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Danny, I have to say that is incredibly inspiring. It's hard to imagine running that much in that little amount of time.
Yeah, and what a great message as well. If you need help, ask for help.
Absolutely.
Good job, Diane.
Yeah, fantastic work. We're all hoping you can make that entire run. And we'll be back again at 11:30. Hope to see you then. Good night.